name is Alex Trujillo, Executive Director for Southwestern Line Constructors Apprenticeship and Training Program. I'd like to welcome you guys to the Southwest family. I'd like to congratulate you on completing your orientation. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the coursework. I know during your orientation we explained to you how to access the LMS. We explained to you how to access your bookwork. In case you need a little refresher, I'd like to refer you to our website, southwesternlineconstructors.org. When you get to our website, you will click on Apprenticeship, click on Study Guides, and then you will scroll down and there's a series of interactive videos. One of those videos is entitled Lms Access. It is a video by instructor James Baca Jr. By the end of that video, Mr. Baca's video will get you to the access point on your LMS. After completing his video, this is where we will end up. From this section, we will hit go on our first year level 1 book. First thing you will notice is there's a little bit of a difference in your book to ours. This is an administrator guidebook, so our stuff is tabbed in red. Yours as a student will be tabbed in blue. However, most of the information there is going to be the same. The first thing we're going to look at is the materials on our first year books. This introductory part, there's a couple of paragraphs that simply tells you a little bit about what to expect during this first year lessons. When we go down to the lessons themselves, you will notice that in level 1, which we would call year 1, book 1, there are 16 total lessons in that book that you must complete. I'm not going to go over every lesson, however, I'm going to go through a couple of lessons that will show you how to access reference material and how that changes. The first lesson we'll talk about is your very first lesson 1. Each one of these lessons is going to be pretty similar in how they're tabbed. The most important part that I want you to remember is that the questions that are on the quiz are very important. Those questions are going to come from the reference material that we send you to. I also want to remind you that some of those questions also come from the introductory information. Now in some of our other lessons you'll see that in this introductory information there are some videos. In this first lesson it is simply just reading material. Another important thing to look at is every one of these quizzes has a 75% passing score. If you do not reach at least a 75, you will not pass that lesson at the end of the quiz. As we scroll down the rest of this lesson 1 page, we get to our learning objectives. What is it that we're trying to pull out of this lesson? Every one of these lessons will be different in the objectives. Some of them have 2 objectives, some will have as many as 7. It is important to understand what you're trying to pull out of each lesson. Now we saw at the top of the page that this refers us to reference material. In this particular lesson, the only reference material we had was entitled courseware. When you see, and I'm going to go back and show you that, when you see on your reference material that it is saying see courseware, that stuff is simply going to come from the lesson itself via the courseware tab at the bottom. If I were to click on this courseware tab, it tells me, I go through a series of pages, some of them may be 1 page long, some may be as many as 10 pages. That is the information that I have to read in order to successfully pass my quiz. Additionally, you see web resources above that courseware. Each one of these tabs will also take you to information that will assist you in being successful in passing these quiz. For example, this first tab, how to set goals, you click on how to set goals. That is going to take you into a separate sheet of information as to how to set goals and how to be successful in passing the rest of this quiz information. Okay, so after you've gone through your web resources, you've gone through your courseware, you see down here that it says quiz for lesson 1. In my case, it does not have a check mark yet because I did not go through every one of my web resources and reference material. If you find yourself at a point where you cannot access your quiz, it probably is because you have not successfully completed every tab that we've sent you to. Okay, so you have to go through all 4 and then you can access the quiz. Remember, it takes a 75% to get past that quiz. The next lesson we're going to look at is lesson 2. In lesson 2, things get changed up a little bit for us. Okay, it kind of looks similar to lesson 1. It tells us the reference material that we have to go look at. It has more introductory information, like I mentioned. In this particular lesson, there's not a lot of introductory information to read, however, there is a video. It's a 28-second video. You hit play, you listen to the video. Again, remember, some of your questions will come from the information given in this video. Now let's go back to the reference material that we talked about. We noticed in the last lesson, the only thing we had was C courseware. Again, C courseware is going to be some interactive tab at the bottom of the page that will take you to the courseware. In this one, however, we have two additional types of reference material. One of them says your apprenticeship agreement that should be provided by the AJATC, and it says your local apprenticeship standards, which will also be provided by your AJATC. So how do we get there? Okay, during orientation, we were probably given a copy of both. However, if you were not, you can go back to southwesternlineconstructors.org. You hit the Documents tab. From the Documents tab, you can access your apprenticeship agreement, and you can access the standards, along with other reference material that you might need throughout the rest of your apprenticeship program. Now let's go back to lesson 2. Okay, we know now how to access all of our reference material. The first two, we can go to our website. The introductory information, again, has a video on this particular lesson. When you get down, you must access, again, your courseware, completely go through the entire courseware tab. You go through your web resources tab and complete that. After you've done all that, it will highlight the quiz for lesson 2 tab here and allows you to take the quiz. Now let's go take a look at another lesson that will change things up for us. We're going to look at lesson 9. Up to this point, all of our reference material has either been courseware or introductory information. Now we look at a different type of reference. In lesson 9, we are asked to look at our guidebook for lineman and cableman textbook, chapter 7. Also at orientation, you were given a set of textbooks. I'm going to briefly go through those textbooks so that you know what each one looks like and what it is called. Okay, the first book I will reference is going to be your Building a Foundation Mathematics book. We have a guidebook for linemen and cablemen. We've got our Underground Distribution book. We have our Uglies reference book. We have the NJATC's Safety Handbook. We've got a DC Theory book, Personal Protective Grounding, the Line Workers Rigging Handbook, and you should have all also left with the Constitution of the IBEW. Okay, so make sure that every one of those books is in your possession because you will need all these books at some point throughout your first year books. Now back to lesson 9. The first thing that it's going to ask us to do is look at the guidebook for linemen and cablemen, chapter 7. So this is your guidebook for linemen and cablemen. You open up to chapter 7 and you read the entire chapter, and that's going to be all you have to read in this section, only chapter 7. Now you go to the NJATC Safety Handbook. That's this little guy right here. Notice how it does not tell you what chapter you have to go to in the Safety Handbook. However, we do know what the title of our lesson is. So it may be up to you to come into the Safety Handbook, look through the table of contents, and find hazard awareness as it is addressed throughout the Safety Handbook. There are some other lessons that will directly tell you what chapter you have to read in this book. If it doesn't tell you what chapter, you simply have to find the information that addresses the current lesson you're working on. Okay, so we have now reference material of our lineman's book, our Safety Handbook, our courseware. Remember that we also have introductory information. So we have to watch this video as well because the lesson questions, quiz questions may come from this introductory video. And then you scroll down and notice how on this particular lesson, all we have is courseware. We don't have any kind of other web aids, right? So we don't have to click on anything else other than the reference material here, the courseware. Keep in mind that just because you read the reference material that they referenced up top, if you still do not click on this and completely go through it, it will not allow you to access the quiz, okay? I believe that is the majority of the information that will help you access the LMS, will help you kind of navigate through each lesson. Again, notice how each lesson may be slightly different. The important things to take out of this is every one of these lessons is going to tell you what reference material, introductory information, web services, and your courseware. As long as you stick to all those, you should successfully be able to pass your quizzes. We will go into another video on year 2 and year 3.